Do. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
We're losing our democracy!
More inflation. What a stupid son.
Wake up!
Before we get into that, let's get in. All right, man, we are live. Happy Friday. How's it going?
Coming at you live. It's going damn well, man. How about yourself?
Shit, chilling, man, chilling. Enjoying the little bit of cloud coverage we've had all day today. It's been really nice out today.
Yeah. It was pouring here, man. It was thought the power was going to go out. I didn't know if I was going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did start raining just a little bit ago, so you never know, it could start back up. So just in case you guys are in case we get cut off or anything, just know that we're having a little bit of adverse weather here. Actually, it's really advantageous weather here, but either way, for some reason here in Arizona, it seems like every single time it rains, the power goes out. Like, without fail, you'd have to think that it's got to be something with just our electric grid, because it's not fucking. I'm pretty sure they don't have blackouts every single time it rains in fucking Seattle, right?
Right.
Like, what? It's got to be something with our grid. It's got to be something with our. I don't know. Maybe it's just all of our stuff's so dry all the time that whenever it gets a little bit of water, it goes haywire and short circuits out.
That, and I think a big part of it is our ground here is so hard packed. I think that it's more economical to put them in the air, which is much easily more easily damaged by winds and inclement weather and whatnot.
Right. Especially with all the trees falling down. That's pretty common occurrence out here once it rains.
Yeah, I was up in the mountains at work today, and they had major roads closed off where it looked like mudslides. Yeah, power lines down all the way down the road and whatnot. It's pretty insane out there, man.
Shit. Yeah, if I could. The other day I drove past a semi truck. I guess that like rolled over. It looks like it was on its way to a grocery store or something. There's just fucking cases of water and fucking cereal and all kinds of shit just all over the road. And there's just all kinds of people just fucking pulled over, just loading up their cars and shit like that.
Was that not far from the shop? Where was that?
Yep. Yeah, that was up off of like Tangerine, I want to say.
Yeah. I seen that. I seen water. I didn't know that's what happened, but I had seen waters all over.
Well, one of the customers that I went to actually was the one that told me about it. I pulled up to his place, and he literally got his entire bed of his truck just loaded down with all kinds of shit. He told me it's like semi truck like rolled over there. So I hopped out and started loading my shit up, man.
What a piece, dude.
You're right.
I was just out there stealing.
Fuck yeah. Shit. What do they do with it after that? They just give it to the like shelters or something, or because they can't put it up on the shelves.
Those companies, I'm sure they just dispose of it. But at the same time, to have it covered, you got to have an inventory, and who knows? Who knows, ma'am? I'm sure it just goes right to the trash.
Well, that is a way that's the way that most stores and vendors and stuff actually do dispose of it, is they donate it to like shelters, the food bank, stuff like that. Once it's like just past its shelf life date and they pull it from the shelf, they'll just go drop it off over there.
Shit, not stores, bro. You go out behind Bashes or something and find just dumpsters full of fresh produce, man.
Oh yeah, produce, yeah, because that's.
But I mean,
same day perishable.
Everything.
But yeah, like boxes of macaroni and shit like that. I mean, my dad was head of receiving for Food City for 15 years. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
I mean,
they do some of
necessarily, it. Like, I live right by a food bank, bro, and I see Bashes is right across the road from them, and I've seen them people just push out stacked with food and just loading it in the dumpster.
Yeah.
Yeah, directly across the road from the food bank. Like, you could see it from their parking lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And a lot of times with the meats and stuff like that, when they throw out like the fresh deli meats and stuff like that, they'll throw them into like some big old container that just kind of like rolls them up and mashes them into like a big old like meatloaf and shit, and then they just do whatever the fuck they end up doing with that. Wherever that ends up going is wherever it ends up. Yeah.
That's pink filler, bro.
Right.
McDonald's burgers.
Right. All natural. But so anyway, how's it going, you guys? Welcome to Liberty Bowl. Today we're going to be talking about more escalations going on in Ukraine. Joe Biden's sending F-16 jets over to there. You know, didn't he fucking promise? You know, like it wasn't going to get to that point. We're not going to send our F-16. He also said we weren't going to send drones and all that shit too. But yet there we go, seeing fucking Moscow fucking you know, having their citizens fucking you know, be forewarned about fucking possible drone strikes and shit.
Yeah, and you know, it was like if we send F-16s, it's not only not efficient because we're going to have to train their pilots, so on and so forth, but that would spell WW3, bam, bam, bam.
Right.
And then you know, like you said, here we are, bro. So you know, and it's pretty sad to think about, especially because they're currently training. So it's not only are we sending the equipment, but we're involved with you know training their troops. I mean, I don't know, it's almost beyond a quasi war at this point.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, fucking like we say all the time, you know, fucking this stuff, it's being fucking bookmarked in fucking Putin's private diary and shit. He's gonna go back and reflect on it later. You know, he's a little bit preoccupied at the moment, but this type of stuff isn't gonna, you know, be just, you know, let it slide and shit. You know, we're also gonna be talking about fucking Russia and China possibly fucking teaming up and shit. It seems more and more each day that that's, you know, basically what is going to end up happening as Joe Biden and the Biden administration just continues to escalate things further and just, you know, push you know, Russia into the arms of China. We're also going to be talking about Democrat-run cities, especially San Francisco, and how they're having their federal workers basically telecommute to work in order to avoid the rising crime that runs rampant throughout San Francisco. I mean, you know, shit, people get attacked with ball peen hammers out there. You know, sleeping in their home, right in their underwear. You don't know. It's crazy out there, man. Then we're also going to be talking about the Dems clinging to their sanctuary city, you know, virtue signal, even as it's now getting called out by people like Greg Abbott, Ron DeSantis. Is Ron DeSantis still busing migrants? I don't know. I know Greg Abbott's been at it nonstop. Arizona was for a little bit while we still had Doug Ducey, but that was, you know, really short lived, seeing as yeah, fucking Hobbs.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome in with open arms. Open the borders. We got to spend money on programs to house them.
Right. Right. But how's it going, everybody out there in the chat? We see, it looks like we got about 4 viewers right now. Awesome. Good times. Good times. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Let's go ahead and start out with this first article. It's going to be from InfoWars. Thought I'd, you know, give InfoWars some nice clicks. I'm sure you know, Alex Jones could use the money these days. Those those Sandy Hook victims aren't going to pay themselves. But so, World War III alert. U.S. approves F-16s for Ukraine after Russia warned they'd be viewed as a nuclear threat. So earlier this week, the Biden administration approved the transfer of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine as soon as pilots are trained on the American aircraft in Denmark, the Netherlands, and 9 other countries. In April, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky raised the issue of his nation obtaining America's F-16 fighter jets during a phone call with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The U.S. has now delivered an official statement to Denmark and the Netherlands promising to send F-16s to Ukraine as soon as the pilots are finished being trained, according to Reuters report. I'm writing to express the United States' full support for both the transfer of F-16 fighter aircraft to Ukraine and for the training of Ukrainian pilots by qualified F-16 instructors, old fucking faggot-ass Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State Blinken fucking faggot, said in a letter to the two nations. Meanwhile, just last month, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned the U.S. providing F-16s to the Ukrainian military would be deemed a nuclear threat by the Kremlin. Russia's reason for being alarmed by the presence of high-tech jets is actually reasonable, considering they have the capability of being equipped with nuclear payloads. And, quote, Russia cannot ignore the ability of these aircraft to carry nuclear weapons. No amount of assurances will help here, Lavrov said. Dutch Foreign Minister Wopke Hoekstra thanked Washington on social media, adding, "Now we will further discuss the subject with our European partners." conservative radio host Michael Savage called out the military-industrial complex for bringing the world closer to nuclear war. When Biden previously mentioned sending F-16 to Ukraine, he claimed the European nation's puppet president assured him they would not be used to strike in Russian territories. However, with recent drone strikes deep into Russia and Zelensky's snake-like actions, it's unlikely the promise would be kept. The U.S. and several European nations risk escalating the Ukraine-Russia conflict into a World War III scenario when even Reuters noted at the end of their report that the jets would have been of little help to Ukraine in its current counteroffensive and will not be a game changer when they eventually arrive, because Russia's air defense systems and Air Force pilots are mostly in control of the skies over Ukraine. It's also worth noting deploying the jets to Ukraine for use in battle will mean more huge contracts for Lockheed Martin, the maker of lightweight fighter aircraft and key member of the military-industrial complex currently profiting from dead Ukrainians and Russians. Perhaps it's finally time for American people to hit the streets and protest U.S. support of this ridiculous war. So, long story short, go out and buy some stock in Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Yep. Shit's about to hit the fan. Like we mentioned earlier, all this stuff, Putin's just fucking writing it down in his little fucking journal, and it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back to bite us in the ass later, unless he dies. I guess. I mean, there's always that. There's been reports out there saying that he's like sick and shit like that, or he has some terminal illness, some shit like that. All right.
They do the same thing with Trump, man. You know what I mean? The guy's
Right.
he's sweating on stage, fucking in Florida in 110-degree weather, and they're like, he looks sickly and disheveled. He looks, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just sloganeering, propaganda bullshit, man. You already know, bro.
Yep.
But it's pretty asinine that not only has Biden pointed out himself this is going to lead to World War III, but I mean other leaders and nations have said the same thing. Dude does not give two shits what's good for the world or America's. He's only good about scoring points for himself. And what tends to happen is presidents in war almost always get reelected, and I think that's one of the reasons that he's all about keeping the pressure coming on, even though it's been a loss of 6-digit billions of dollars, man, and there's no end in sight, dude. I mean, like you said, it's costly and it's killed a lot of people.
Yep. Do you think the average American normie views Joe Biden as being the cause of this war, perhaps, or do you think that they're just gonna like, oh, it's war times and shit. The fucking Russia and fucking China and all these people, they really fucking hate Joe Biden and shit like that. He's really sticking it to them. It's like I mean, obviously, we know better. We know that really he's just a fucking corrupt ass puppet that's basically, inching NATO closer and closer to fucking Russia, and basically, we know the actual causes. But do you think to the average, normie voter out there, do you think they view Joe Biden as being, basically a leading cause to this whole conflict?
No, I think that I think people that support the Democratic Party, it's because of Hitler's peas, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the work that him and Trump did together to set this all up. You know what I'm saying? But of course, on the right, yeah. I mean, it's of course, it's pretty obvious that the right thinks that Joe Biden is the reason that this is happening. And I think that the average, like independent, probably just sees it as just the weakness of America as a whole, and that it wouldn't have happened if the old Trumpsicles was still in charge, with him telling Hitler's peas, I'll melt those fucking domes.
All right.
So,
Right.
I think there's three ways to look at it, I guess.
Well, and then as we also know, a lot of, do you think, I don't know, how much of this whole, with things not happening under Trump's watch, do you think it was because of the fact that, obviously, war is profit. War is profit no matter, win or fucking lose. War is profit, So, do you think it's possible that basically the whole reason that, Russia didn't, try moving in on Ukraine at all during Trump's presidency is because of the fact that they knew that, Trump's not playing ball like everyone else is. Trump's not part of the inner club. Fucking if Russia were to attack Ukraine, Trump's gonna fucking mount those fucking golden domes. Whereas opposed to Biden, Russia invades Ukraine. It's the same thing as we saw with Obama and shit. Russia, basically pulls some shenanigans in Ukraine, and basically they're just gonna, we gotta rally the troops. We gotta send, money. Fucking everybody, fucking put the Ukraine flags. They know that basically once Joe Biden is back in office, or once Donald Trump is out of office, that basically, okay, all right, guys, game's back on. Do you think that might be a bit of something that's going on right now?
Yeah, the Trump thing was definitely a pause on their plans. We know from films that we've both done bits on in our shows here that Lindsey Graham and the crew, warmongers, McCain and them were setting this up as Trump was coming into office, and so it was just a pause, and then Trump being unpredictable, like you said, not necessarily in the club, but you know
I mean, I'm sure a lot of it really is, just because of Trump's bravado and shit too. But of course, I've, like I say, all the time, I constantly find myself wondering, and I honestly think everybody always should question whether or not they're wrong, So that's one thing why I always kind of look at it. I even came up with this whole theory one time, fucking, of course, completely crackpot theory, but like, maybe Joe Biden's actually knows what he's doing. Maybe he's fucking, cutting off oil production and shit like that, because he knows that fucking once the shit hits the fan, we're gonna need that oil, and we don't want to pump it all out. Of course, fucking, like I said, it's all just dumb shit. It's always just trying to maybe I'm fucking wrong, maybe I'm the asshole type thing. But then of course,
but
I
then
always
even
prove
that right
myself
there, all
wrong.
you got to do is just think with the oil shit. He depleted the oil reserves, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so and then has depleted our ammo supplies, our arms supplies. So I don't think that the dude knows what he's doing at all. You know what I'm saying? And it seems that the people around him, to a point. I mean, you got the Department of Defense coming out, and giving them some spiel here recently as far as the Ukraines go. But I think that everyone's just right there patting him on the back, like, you just keeps doing it, Bobby. Keep signing this papers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no one telling him. Like, it's just a losing fucking proposition.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I know that fucking Joe Biden's not this fucking super genius, and it's gone to the plan. He's fifth fucking dimension chess. Like, obviously, I know
Right.
fucking Joe Biden's not on that fucking level. He probably couldn't even fucking play a single fucking dimension chess. But either way, fucking like I said, those are just the types of things that I always well, maybe, just because I feel like it's good to just keep don't get stuck in the echo chamber, and just don't always constantly think that you're always right. Always plan for the possibility that maybe I'm wrong. But that's just something I like to do every now and then.
Yeah, and then
Theorize
on
for the
top
other
of
side.
it, to show that the efforts are fucking completely fruitless, we got the fact that Russia is actually came up. You know what I'm saying? Through this, they added over $600 billion in wealth, added thousands of new millionaires. You know what I mean? Like, they've actually come up. The ruble is stronger now than it was before all this sanctions and yada, man.
That was actually I've actually just seen some recent graphs. Actually, that was actually a short lived. It's already back down to below what it was before any of this. It did shoot up for a bit, but then it plummeted. It just plummeted, recently. It's back down to practically worthless again. And it's not so much, because I mean, obviously they're not producing, because their main fucking focus right now is war, But I think it's just I forgot what I was going with that. That dab just hit me real good. But yeah, it's gone up, and then it's dropped recently. It's dropped pretty drastically.
As far as the value of the ruble, that could very well be. But like I said, they've added over $600 billion in wealth as a country,
Right.
and have added something like 3,200 millionaires since this shit has popped off. And they're producing fucking oil. You know what I mean? And they are selling it either directly or through third parties. Like, I mean, so, I mean, it's also with the brick shit coming out. Maybe they're pulling away from the ruble and going more towards commodities. You know what I mean? And just purposely crashing their own shit because they're not even going to trade with it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who knows?
Could be. I mean, like we say, we're on the the inflection point, the fucking precipice of a completely new era. So yeah, we'll have to see. If I can. Let's go ahead and get on to the this next one about fucking U.S. intel official says Ukrainian counteroffensive will fail. So
Right. That was kind of fucking me up there. I didn't want to speak on that until you
Right.
got to it.
Right.
But we kept trying to weave it into what I was saying because it's it's a
Right.
huge point of like the waste, like the F-16s.
Yep. So let's check this out. So Democrats and Republicans in Washington D.C. have been shown an intelligence report warning Ukraine's counteroffensive will likely fail as Vladimir Zelensky's government grows increasingly quickly towards its Western backers, but the Biden regime continues to throw billions at the perceived problem. Metropoli, Russia's de facto capital in the Zaporozhye, can't pronounce that Russian shit, Oblast, one of 4 regions partially annexed to the Russian Federation since the invasion in February 2022, is believed to be the main objective of the counter. Reaching it would restore Ukrainian access to the Sea of Azov, where the entire coastline is currently under Russian control, and snap the land bridge between the Donbass where Russian separatists have been fighting since 2014 and the Crimea, which was annexed by the Russians following the Euromaidan coup the same year. But with Ukrainian forces having made extremely limited progress and much of their Western equipment savaged by Russian minefields and artillery fire, the U.S. intelligence community no longer believe Metropoli is within Zelensky's reach in 2023. Sources have denied the Biden government's refusal to strengthen the counteroffensive with F-16 warplanes or ATACMS missiles. It could be an acronym, could not be, but either way, missiles systems is responsible for the failure, saying that the problem remains piercing Russia's main defensive line, and there's no evidence these systems would have been panacea. Facing further criticism from their Western sponsors for failing to make progress, and as some see it, squandering the billions of dollars in Western arms and ammunition supplied for the counteroffensive, the Ukrainian government has bridled with Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, insisting, telling Westerners who want quicker results to go and join the Foreign Legion. It is easy to say that you want everything to be faster when you are not here, he complained. So that's about that one. But yeah, obviously, our main complaint is basically that it's fucking just being used as an entire fucking money laundering scheme, and they're just over here squandering all this fucking shit. We do see I remember back toward even the beginning of this fucking war and shit. They're sending out Ukrainian troops and shit with fucking rifles that had like fucking 5 bullets in it, and just like, here you go, go be all you can be, buddy. It's So I mean, obviously, fucking that part, fucking the whole squandering shit. That's our main fucking concern with it. But then, obviously, fucking Ukraine's not winning this war. Despite everything you're hearing on CNN and fucking MSNBC and all these other fucking places, Ukraine's not looking too hot. If they were looking too great, would we really be needing to send them F-16s? Like, yeah, they're winning. They're fucking winning. Let's keep escalating the weapons. Let's send them cluster bombs. Let's send them F-16s because they're doing so great. Like, no, that's propaganda.
Yeah, and dude, it's like you said, they're not winning the war. It's a sham, dude. It's one of those sloganeering situations. You got to wonder if it's laundering or just out and out waste. With at minimum the weapons, we found them all over the black market, right? And like you said, they're escalating it, sending them more equipment, and at the same time as this shit, telling them it's a losing battle. The counteroffensive is going to lose. The members of the EU and the UN have come out and basically said they're going to have to concede land. Russia was aiming for 4 areas. They've taken all 4, right? And now even Ukrainian media has come out and admitted that about 70% of the populace in those areas are not only Russian speaking, but Russian sympathizing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, again, this is a civil war, and these are Russian people that want to be part of Russia, and we've just gotten involved in it and have put ourselves in debt and destroyed our dollar right after the effects of COVID. So you know what I mean?
Right. And then that's also not to mention that over half of the American population now is kind of over sending more money to Ukraine. Even a lot of the Democrats are starting to like, it's starting to seem kind of pointless, especially as inflation fucking rises and starting to fucking it's starting to actually really hit home to the average person now. The average person that's starting to struggle to pay their rent or struggle to keep groceries fucking in the refrigerator. It's really starting to hit home. The average person is now starting to lose support for this whole fucking, we gotta protect Ukraine's fucking Russia Putin fucking all that Hitler's pee, all that bullshit. They're starting to all right, well, fuck them, they're on their own. Like, I can't fucking feed my kids in the meantime, or even fucking the liberal fucking kids, like, I can't afford fucking hair dye anymore, I can't fucking afford fucking it's gonna fucking hit everybody, and we're seeing it start to do that. And you're losing the support fucking here on the home fucking, or essentially it's a fucking home turf, because as we mention all the time, this isn't this is a fucking a civil war dispute, basically, between two former USSR fucking nations and shit, and basically we're getting in the middle of it, and we're just fucking throwing money at it. And
as always,
you're as I drive through the neighborhoods, I'm starting to see more and more of those Ukraine flags. They're starting to just fade and fade and fade and just sun fade away. And eventually that's all they're going to be. They're just going to be fucking, they're going to go from blue and yellow to fucking white.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it's, dude, it's pretty sad shit, man. I mean, it's, just like the Maui fire, they're sending out checks like, we're laser focused. And they're sending them $700 checks.
Right.
I heard a statistic today. It was Ben Shapiro, I believe, that said the majority of those families receiving those checks has already paid more in taxes to Ukraine. You know what I'm saying?
That's fucking insane. That really, that's a straight insult,
Yeah, and what's even more insulting is statistics from the Statista recently here came out and said the average family is spending $700 a month more to feed and house themselves, and this is what the guy said: $700.
All right.
So at minimum, it's to offset your bills for 1 month, as you lost your house and your fucking your grandparents or whatever.
Right. I mean, obviously, fucking, we don't live fucking luxurious. We don't live lavishly or anything like that. But $700, that's not doing anything for me. And I haven't even lost anything in a fire or anything like that. But $700, like, just in my life right now, I mean, yeah, it'll help, but really, that's not a fucking thank you. That's really okay, cool. And put that aside. Now I got to get back to work. Like $700 in today's fucking economy is really beyond an insult. That's not even a fucking plane ticket out of Hawaii. Like, that's not even fucking transportation to a new fucking home, let alone a new home. Like. It's and at the same time, weren't they? I think I saw a report that they were fucking that they were trying to block aid and shit for a little while, and that some of the locals had to fucking go on their own boats around the fucking roadblocks in order to fucking drop off cases of water and shit to the people that were stuck in the fire fucking zones and shit.
Yeah, they try to do that, it seems, with every catastrophe, right? Like whether it's flood and fire, Katrina, what have you. It's always civilians trying to help, other civilians, and they're like, "You can't come past here. This is for your safety." You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm trying to sacrifice my safety to help my fellow man. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is your problem? That's supposed to be your job, but apparently we have to do it for you. Right. And not only do they suck at doing that, but they're going to prevent you from doing it. I mean, it's, dude, that's some horrible shit. That's beyond reptilian right there. Right.
Same thing with fucking Uvalde and shit, with the fucking Uvalde shooting. The fucking the police weren't willing to fucking put their lives on the line and shit, but then there were citizens that fucking showed up with guns and shit, and the police fucking held them back, Like, that motherfucker was ready to, like, no, fuck you guys. I'll fucking kick that door in and blast that motherfucker's head off right now. Like, with the police, no.
As they're standing outside listening to their kids be slaughtered.
Right. Yeah, and they're telling them, no, stay back. Like, yeah, fuck you, dude. Like that really, it just drives it home to more and more people every day that you can't fucking depend on the government. You can't even depend on fucking police to fucking help you. As we know, there's that ruling that came out that basically says the police do not have an obligation to stop crime. Like, even if they're fucking watching it happen, like, it's fucking bullshit, And so it just goes to show
it's more from protect and serve to they have no obligation to protect. They don't even have an obligation to stop crime at this point. Like, what do these people actually do besides act as the muscle for the state? You know what I mean?
All right. And then even just the state, the Department of Justice and shit, what they consider crimes nowadays, if you go fucking you get a flash mob and steal fucking tens of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise from a store, or from a retailer department, whatever, totally fine, not a big deal, it's okay, you guys can get more stuff, like, meanwhile they're putting these people completely out of business, completely destroying these people's livelihoods that they worked their entire lives to build. But that's not worth prosecuting. What we're really focused on here is election deniers. What we're really focused on here is people that are questioning our power, people that are questioning our authority, people that just question anything in general. Now, did you see that big ass list of possible right wing extremists? Like the Department of Homeland Security. I think it was Department of Homeland Security. But the whole list of extremists.
The pyramid.
I think it was
the pyramid. How it breaks it down into different levels of right wing extremists. Yeah, and they're literally perpetrating these acts like the United Front, the Patriot Front, right? I mean, it's obvious Fed setup, man,
right.
And they are doing this stuff to say, look, there's right wing extremists. Like, it's them. You know what I'm saying? Like, video after video of all the crimes and violent acts happening, and it seems to always be one group, man. And they're quite a bit darker than I am.
Yeah. All right. So during all of this, bullshit with fucking Russia and everything, so basically, we're pushing, World War III even further with all these escalations and shit. And as we also know, was it just a Thursday or Friday? Joe Biden met with leaders from Japan, South Korea, and where else was it? I think it was just Japan and South Korea, right? And basically just kind of did a whole little strengthening their alliance thing at the Camp David summit.
Yeah, I think that there was also a delegate there from Vietnam. Fucking name. No, I just wanted to say that, bro.
Right. But all right, so right after that, Russia and China staged a show of force against Japan as Biden holds Camp David summit. All right, so Japanese fighter pilots scrambled to cope with a suspicious intrusion into the country's airspace, according to defense officials, amid a joint military patrol by China and Russia. JSDF continues to respond to protect our territory and peace for the people of Japan 24/7, the Japan Joint Chief of Staff said on Friday on social media. The incident occurred Thursday as Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, god damn it, fucking heads, was scheduled to arrive in Washington, D.C. for a historic summit with President Joe Biden and South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol, two key U.S. allies long divided by the acrimonious legacy of the Second World War. Beijing defended the drills as a customary practice, even while objecting to the trilateral summit. The international community has its fair judgment on who is stoking conflicts and exacerbating tensions, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said Friday. Attempts to cobble together various exclusionary groupings and bring bloc confrontation and military blocs into the Asia Pacific are not going to get support and will only be met with vigilance and opposition from regional countries. So obviously, it's basically what China does. It's what China does. They saber rattle. They constantly just, try coming near our airspace. We'll fly around. You guys are gonna have meetings and shit. We will fly near your airspace. And then if you ask anything about it, we'll say, well, we'll let the international community make its decision on who's actually escalating. That's what China does all the fucking time. It's saber rattling, but it does prove a point that they are basically, Joe Biden is essentially pushing these two military and economic powerhouses closer together. China and Russia are generally they're amicable, but they're not necessarily friends. You know, they share borders and shit like that, but they're not exactly, you know, on good terms. They're not exactly, you know, like you know, they're not exactly like this. But Joe, they could, you know, come together over a common enemy, and especially with this, if it's an enemy as powerful as the United States. That is basically the idea of doomsday. That's essentially World War III. You know, and Joe Biden, as we see, is continuing to escalate it. And, you know, like I said, that's one thing that does kind of worry me is, as you mentioned earlier, usually fucking once wars break out, the incumbent usually gets reelected because people are like, oh, you know, like he's been here from the beginning and shit. Like we need him to finish this thing, you know. But really, he's been here from the fucking beginning because he's the start of it. You know, he's the one that's starting all this shit, you know. But I don't know, man. Fucking pretty intense shit. You know, if it can, like I say, World War III is on the rise. Meanwhile, Civil War, possible, you know, Second American Revolution is on the rise here in America. And I don't know, man. Fucking the future is very uncertain at this point.
Definitely is, man, and it's always like when a country, especially that's communist or dictator led, starts to struggle economically. They almost always start showing force militarily and lash out, right? And we know that what one of China's largest companies basically just went under, filing for bankruptcy, Chapter 15, I think it is, and that one company is basically like 12.8% of their entire GDP. So, you know, their economy's teeter-tottering, and obviously it's going to affect us as well. And it, you know, will stoke even more economic competition. And then, like you said, they're being pushed, and it's, you know, it's becoming a gang. Dude. We said this earlier. We done our damn researches. We know gangs, dude. And you know, they're, you know, they got the BRICS, you know, announcement coming soon about their currency, and I think they're almost ready to go. You know what I'm saying? The Ukraine shit is a show. I think that Russia could just absolutely swat them, dude, if they wanted to. They're not even using real force because they don't want the entire world to, you know, come against them, like for real.
Right.
Not just, you know, sending monies or weapons or what have you. But
Putting
you know, we
planks in
got
their
some,
bio.
yeah, and I really don't believe that there's any way that we could spread ourselves thin enough to defend against both those countries.
Do you do you think that might kind of be a strategy that they're going with? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's maybe probably not a very good strategy, you know, but possibly trying to cripple the United States economically before, you know, they basically launch an attack. Not only cripple, you know, us economically, but also demoralize us. You know, I mean, because ultimately, when you really look at it, how many of us really want to fight for fucking the American way right now? You know, like that's not a very
Yeah,
appealing notion to most of us here. At least most of us
yeah,
that
and
are actually capable of fighting. You know.
yeah, and as they fly over their spy balloons, and you know, our so-called you know chief is you know jerking off at the beach or whatever. I mean, that's demoralization right there. I mean, they basically just do what they want. They've showed several times that as far as the bidding regimes, they almost run things.
Yep.
Really.
Yep. Like, and yeah, nobody takes this dude seriously, and that's, you know, again, all the more reason why I think we need Trump. You know, really, most of any other establishment Republican when it comes to geopolitical tensions and things like that, their general, you know, let's go to war. Like, we're gonna fucking, you know, they do the whole neocon thing. You know, let's be the boot of the world and shit. Let's go be the world police and let's go solve the world's problems and shit and fucking install our own governments in their fucking nations and that type of shit that are gonna be subservient to us. You know, that's basically the whole neocon thing. So I think that's really what has gotten us to this point right now. You know, basically the whole reason that most of the world hates us and shit is because that is the way that we are. You know, that we have been the world police, and at the same time, we're not necessarily good at. We're not necessarily you know, morally just, you know, people. So that really should be, you know, the world police and shit. You know, so ultimately, that's why I think someone like Trump really needs to get back, or, you know, basically Trump in general just needs to get back into the office, and that's going to really kind of ease tensions because Trump, as we see, is very anti-war. He's very, you know, anti this whole neocon, you know, globalist bullshit, as well as the Democrat fucking World Economic Forum globalist type bullshit as well. You know, but I think, basically he shows, I don't know, something that they could identify as basically an honest person, an honest American leader, basically an American leader with integrity. Like it, seems like the first one in fucking, decades. So I think that's kind of why I think we need a Trump on the geopolitical stage right now, and as tensions continue to escalate.
Yeah, I think you need a strong leader. You need someone that's full of bravado and someone that's they is unpredictable, man. And that kind of explains Trump to a T. Also, you throw in that little touch of narcissism or narcissism. That's a good term for it, right?
Right.
Narcissism, and that it notches it up. Like you're not going to outdo me. Whether that's on the Twitter zones with fucking Kim Jong or on the world stage trying to physically, smack around Putin's. And even do you remember when they did meet when he was still in office and he leaned over to shake his hand and Trump's towering over him, dude, and he like pulls him to him like you know what I mean? Manhandles him a little bit. It was pretty good. I mean, obviously, Putin's for real KGB. He'd murder Trump
Fucking
out, but
kill you with this pinky finger real
just
quick.
as the show, right? Just as the stage show, it was
Right.
pretty good.
Yep.
You know,
Yep, definitely. That's why I've said it before. I'll say it 100 times again. I think Trump is the absolute embodiment of the American spirit. Of basically everything that America kind of stands for. I think that Trump basically kind of embodies it. Whether it's business savvy, whether it's fucking strength, whether it's fucking compassion, whether it's the idea of liberty, whether it's the idea of justice. I think even narcissism, even I think that's basically a perfect word that we could use to describe basically the American world order. The American fucking basically the Western world order and shit. Basically, it's the narcissism. We
Yep.
completely fucking oblivious to how the rest of the world wants to be. To the rest of the world's sovereignty, and basically we just insert ourselves in everyone else's business. It's complete. It's a complete narcissism. But
Yeah.
and I think like I say, Trump embodies kind of the end of that era, the end of that basically way of maintaining our American empire while still maintaining our American empire.
Definitely a stronger economic outlook. You know what I mean? All the way across, but it's I believe it. It's the showmanship and like I said, the unpredictability matched in with all the little other aspects that make it a good deal. I'm not looking for the guy to be some kind of moral fucking hero, or I don't think he's an overall great guy. Everybody has their faults, what have you. But as far as the country goes, I believe he loves it and wants to do what's best for it and our people, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially, if you're a billionaire in a country, why wouldn't you want that country to do good? You're just going to continue to make monies, man.
Right. In fact, that's really kind of another point that I do kind of want to make with the whole in terms of Trump and stuff, because as you guys know, I am not a real big fan of Ben Shapiro as of late, but he keeps saying that he can't grasp the concept of why Republicans would be willing to vote for Donald Trump as opposed to the person that could beat Joe Biden. Like that, he can't wrap his head around the fact why people would rather vote on principle as opposed to basically what the stats and numbers say, what the rules say is okay and shit, basically, he can't wrap his head around that shit. And so basically it's not that we love Trump. I mean, granted, a lot of his base, his core base do, they quite literally worship the man. But as per, like us, that basically the whole libertarian section that's, voting for Trump, it's not that we love Trump. It's not that we think he's the greatest fucking person that ever lived. It's not that we think, even his ideas are all that in a bag of chips. It's not that. The reason that we're willing to vote for Trump over anybody else, really, as opposed to anybody else, so much to the point where we'd even write his name in on a ballot, if he's running from a jail cell, is because of principle. It's because this is not what America stands for. It's because we aren't willing to just kind of bury our heads in the sand and just like, oh well, let's avoid trouble, you guys. Like, the rules say this, and if we let them write the rules and shit. It's about not continuing to do what the Republicans have done generation after generation after generation, and just basically like, oh well, it says in the book, fucking says right here that well, Trump can't run, so I guess we can't vote for that guy. And I don't know, it's not about love for Trump. It's about love for this country. It's about love for the American system, and it's about love for our freedom. That's really what it's all about. It's about not just accepting that the fucking deep state runs things down to who we're allowed to vote for, what we're allowed to think, what we're allowed to do. It's like I say, it's about principle. It's about our love for freedom, and it's about basically, you tell us fucking what we have to do, and we're gonna tell you to fuck off. That's basically the whole reason behind it.
Yeah, and it's for love of country, like you said. This country was built on "fuck you, that's why," right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fuck the party as well. Fuck Republicans,
Right.
spineless fucking jellyfish. The vast majority of them. The other ones are actually sellout fucking liberals in nice suits, right? And it's if the country hadn't evolved to a duopoly, I sure as hell wouldn't be voting in it. You know what I mean? Because it's always the same shit. People have mind trapped themselves. Like it's like right now, Biden's fucking up, so we got to vote for Republicans. Well, Republicans are fucking up, so we got to vote for Democrats. And it's ping pong, man. And it's not even about like we need a third choice. We need a 20th choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the duopoly shit. Fuck the Republicans. Like you said, it's on principle for Trump, and it's also again the fuck you. That's why, man.
Right. And then also because I mean, obviously we've kind of already gone through it before, but anybody else is not going to stand up against the establishment. Sorry, that's just it. Plain and simple. I don't give a shit. Vivek Ramaswamy, he talks a big game. He says that he's going to get in there and heads are going to roll and this and that. I don't believe it. He says all this and that type shit. He doesn't really necessarily know what he's going into. He's almost essentially like fucking Trump in 2016. He thought basically the system was legit. He thought, I mean, obviously not, he knew the system wasn't legit, but he thought basically that you go in there and you play the game, you get your stuff done, and basically you make the world a better place and all that shit. He learned quickly that was not necessarily the case, and I think Vivek Ramaswamy doesn't quite get that concept yet either. And so that's why I say basically Trump is the only person that is going to be able to actually stand up against this establishment, because he's been doing it. He's been doing it this whole time. So anybody else that's going to get in there, they're going to get in there, they're going to fucking try and, all right, so we're going to cut this department, we're going to cut this department, and then next thing you know, fucking a picture of them in a fucking a black, some sort of blackmail is going to come through, or some sort of fucking possible indictment, or some sort of thing to basically keep them in check is going to fucking come to. And basically they're just going to be wrought with scandal, and they're going to be wrought with basically media fucking whirlwinds and shit through their entire fucking presidency. They're not going to be able to get shit done. But and it's mainly going to be because they're going to be trying to operate on that old Republican decorum of basically following the rules and doing what's right, and not taking risks, and not actually pushing, or not actually trying to push the envelope or anything like that. And I think Trump is the only person that is actually going to do that, because he's, like I say, he's not afraid of the fucking deep state. He's been fighting them this entire fucking time. And I think everybody else might say that they're not afraid of the deep state, that they're willing to get in there and they're going to shut this whole thing down. They don't actually know what they're up against in the same way that Trump does, Yeah,
and to think that if there's anyone that wouldn't be establishment, if you could get them in, that they're not going to be treated with the same way that the Democrats have treated Trump, right? And not only has Trump been doing it the whole time, but since he's been out of office, this shit's been in overdrive. I mean, dude, courage, fighter, regardless of what the leftists like to drivel, they're always, Trump's the cowards, right? And dude, most people would have already melted in the face of these, indictments, federal and state. They would have already folded. The face dude's facing death penalty and literally like 600 years in prison, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It's and he's just steadily still going. Fuck
Right.
you, man. And like you said, that's the epitome, dude, of Mercus, man.
Chip. I believe Trump, like I said, Trump knows right now that he's at the point of it's death or glory. Those are the only two options. Either fucking he's gonna get in there and he saved us all. Woo, it's a new era. All this and that type shit. He's gonna get in there and chop shit down, or they're gonna make him into a martyr.
Yep.
That's he knows that those are the only two options for his future. There is no fucking retiring on a beach somewhere. He's either gonna fucking be in the fucking presidency and basically he's gonna be hailed as the savior of America, or he's gonna be fucking dead or rotting in a fucking prison cell while the rest of the country collapses.
Yeah. In the gulags.
Yep. But let's get back to the stories here. So let's talk a little bit about the culture war. So when are these Democrats gonna ever fucking pull their head out of their ass? When are these Democrat voters are gonna ever pull their head out of their ass and start to wake up and smell the literal shit on their sidewalks? So employees inside Nancy Pelosi's federal building in San Francisco were told to work from home as crime skyrockets. Workers in the Nancy Pelosi federal building in San Francisco were ordered to steer clear of the site for the foreseeable future as crime in the city continues to skyrocket. Officials at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services advised its hundreds of federal employees to work from home indefinitely rather than risk commuting to the downtown tower, which has become a hotspot for street drug deals in recent months. In light of the conditions at the federal building, we recommend employees maximize the use of telework for the foreseeable future, HHS Assistant Secretary for Administration Cheryl Campbell wrote in August 4th memo obtained by the San Francisco Chronicle. Campbell also wrote that the recommendation should be extended to building employees who do not currently use work from home options. So even the fucking janitors, they're telling them to work from home. The memo was
the janitor.
Right. The memo was addressed to HHS regional leaders, though it is not clear whether other federal agencies that call the landmark building home were also advised to avoid the area. The 18-story tower on the corner of 7th and Mission Streets also housed the office of its namesake, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The U.S. Department of Labor and the U.S. Department of Transportation. No. Pelosi, however, has not advised her 5 employees to work from home, according to the Chronicle. Instead, the Congresswoman is working closely with local and federal law enforcement to keep her staff safe, a spokesperson said. Oh, so she's sending out her own private goons to basically watch her people. That's the whole fucking thing with these fucking these politicians and shit. It's the whole fucking thing with the whole gun debate and shit. They don't want you to be able to have a gun to defend yourself, but they'll have fucking their own private security with fucking guns coming out their fucking assholes in order to protect them and their family, even their fucking own private secretaries and workers and all that shit. But no, you can't defend yourself, and if you do try to defend yourself, we're gonna call you a vigilante and lock you up anyway. That's basically.
I gotta throw out an insignificant tidbit there, but it's the same for libertarians, man. You know what I mean? Because they're like, do away with government programs and polices, and then they're like, well, dude, what are you gonna deal with crime? People are still gonna commit crimes. Well, you hire your own security,
right?
You know what I mean? Like you're making 50 racks a year, you got to pay 30 to securities, bro. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Everybody's unreal on that shit. But anyway, go ahead, bro.
Yep. But I mean, at the same time, too, of course, not trying to say everybody should fucking, do the whole fucking libertarian fucking private security thing. But if police were gone, private security would be basically a common thing. Where basically you got your private security guard that you just kind of pay him to fucking hang around and all that shit, or fucking private security offices and all that type of shit is going to be a thing. I don't think it's going to actually be private security. I think if police officers were to ever actually go away, that it would be more like a neighborhood watch type thing. Where basically the community would come together and just like, all right, we have these people, fucking they got their guns, fucking protect the community and shit. Anybody tries to come in and fuck with our shit or whatever, you have the community's full backing to do whatever force is necessary to fucking make sure that our children and our families and everyone is safe. I think it'd be something more along those lines. It's obviously human nature is to come together rather than be isolated and all that type shit. I don't know, what do you think on that one?
Like I said, I mean, you hear, the libertarian argument, and that's not what it is. It's not. We'll come together in a
Oh,
peachy
I
keen
know.
fucking
That's
community.
that's
You know what I
exactly
mean?
why I said I'm not trying to make that
Right,
argument. I'm saying
right,
I don't think it would be private security.
right.
I don't think people actually want to be isolationist and libertarian. I think people would naturally come together, and it'd be more like and like I said, this is all just a hypothetical scenario. If police, if government run fucking violence monopolies fucking weren't a thing, then like I say, I personally think that it would actually end up turning back to fucking like a community watcher, basically like have like a town sheriff, and he deputizes people and shit like that. And back to the way that law enforcement originally kind of started here in America.
Yeah, you'd hope. I mean, that'd be a good route there. You know what I mean? But as far as like neighborhood watch, dude, most people nowadays don't even know their neighbor. Live next door to people for 20 years and
Mm-hmm.
don't know their last name and shit. You know what I'm saying?
And why is that? It's not like that's a new thing. That's not the way that it's always been. That's recent. I mean, fucking
Right.
back
Exactly.
back in
That's what I'm saying.
back in the 60s, 70s, even fucking you knew your neighbors, and fucking you guys would fucking share fucking recipes and all that type shit.
Right.
That, like I say, it's all because at least in my opinion, is because fucking people have become entitled. People have become complacent. People expect government to basically protect them. Same thing with the whole fucking idea as to why charity and basically people coming together to fucking help people and shit like that is not a thing anymore, because they expect the government to do it now. Basically, we're a fucking socialist damn nation now, and that's really what's kind of eroded the idea of community in general. We've traded community for communism.
That, and I think the inner zones has helped to ruin society, man.
Definitely, yeah.
Really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, people sit in the same room and they're on phones and shit like that. And as well as I do, time flies, bro. And before you know it, the day's over, man. And you've spent actually about 20 minutes with the person in the room with you. And, it's like that everywhere. And then as far as not knowing your neighbors, people don't go out of the house. They're on the inner zones. They're streaming. They're playing games. You know what I mean? It's just a tech world, dude, and it's absolutely destroyed us, man.
It's because we're at the fucking top of the food chain. Fucking the rest of the world doesn't live like this. And
Right.
and that's because we have to fucking well, at least in today's time now, we have to work fucking 2-3 damn jobs just to keep food on the table. But back in the time when all this started, back in the time when the internet era and all that shit started, we didn't have to do none of that shit. We'd fucking go work for a couple hours a day, and then we were solid. We could fucking afford to buy a house, like not just fucking rent one, all that type shit, And so, all that has basically made us kind of complacent, And that's really, we don't need to go outside. Like, why the fuck do we need to go fucking make connections and network and make friends? I got it all right here and shit, And,
Mhm.
it's because we haven't had to actually fucking form any sort of community fucking bonds and shit like that, because everything's just so fucking easy here. We don't need to lean on the local community. We don't need to rely on one another the way that we used to, because it's basically everything's just expected now.
Yeah, it's where you hear this theory like we live in the Matrix, dude. We're making it the Matrix, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? Seriously, I mean, the much like this, like I said, isolation, dude, tech, stuff like that. Without there being a catastrophe happening, World War III or natural, what have you, I believe it'll head that way. I believe there's a huge portion of the population right now that would plug in, dude, willingly. You know what I mean? Mostly the mentally ill and the blue-haired folks, the ones with dysphoria, shit like that. I'm sure they'll be the first ones in line, dude. And people that are just overall, not happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those would be the first ones, but I could definitely see it happening.
Do you think
Push
what are you saying?
We're gonna stop drilling for oils and fucking making batteries because you're gonna be the oils and batteries, Bobby.
Right. Do you think what when America does if I can end up falling off as the world economic leader and shit like that, and basically times get hard here, do you think basically that's gonna make a central bank digital currency a whole lot easier to implement? Because I mean, the average person isn't versed on any sort of economics. They don't even know what actual money is. They think money's a fucking piece of paper, you know. So when times get bad, and basically, the government like, oh, don't worry, don't worry, we have a solution to all of this. Central bank digital currencies. Do you think America's just gonna, yeah, woo, yeah, they're gonna help us all? I honestly, the more I look at the American people, the more I scroll down the X fucking hole, the more my faith in humanity is destroyed. I honestly think, like, I don't think people would actually turn away from government or actually come to the realization like, wait a minute, the whole reason that the world is the way that it is because of government. I think the majority of people out there think that prices are getting higher because grocery stores are getting greedier. Like,
Right.
I honestly think that that's what people really think out there right now. The majority,
They
the
think,
overwhelming
yeah.
majority.
You see, it's the same way with gas. They're like, these oil companies are making record profits.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, that money's worth, a fraction of what it was fucking 2 years ago. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're actually losing money comparatively. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're calling inflated, almost worthless dollars fucking record profits. But yeah, I think the same thing. I think it's the same way. There'll be one half of the population is going to be like, yeah, digital currencies. It's going to be way easier, and then there's going to be another portion that could be broken up in sub portions, right? Like old people that are going to be like, what the fuck, a digital currency? They're not going to want to do that, right? And then of course there's going to be people, like you and myself that are this is all about control. This is a way to shut you down. This is a way to control your spending and to make you adhere to the Greens' agendas, man.
Yeah. Like, my uncle actually sent me this fucking really cool. It's a pretty long video, but I'll send it to you a little bit later. But it's this dude. He kind of breaks down the way that the globalist deep state actually works. Basically everyone's always kind of wondering like, oh, well, who's the deep state? Who's running? Who's at the very tip of the spear? And he basically breaks it down to there is no tip of the spear. There's no one group. There's no one organization. There's no one person that's orchestrating all of this. And basically the way that he puts it is it's like a flock of ducks and shit, flying. They all fly in that V formation. It's not that there's a leader over there telling everyone to fly in this formation. They do it naturally. And it's basically the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization,
Vanguard, BlackRock,
right? All of these
Yeah.
people, they're not working. They're not. There's not somebody pulling all of their strings. They're just all going in the same logical direction.
They're working in tandems.
Right,
It's
right.
teams. Again, it's a gang,
Right.
bro.
Even if there's nobody actually pulling the strings, basically they're all at the top. All of them gain from more control. So essentially, they're all headed in the same direction of more control. So it's not like there's a person turning up the pot here. There anything like that. It's basically just this is just the way that power naturally works. And when there's multifaceted power structures in this globalist fucking regime, they're just all naturally going to flock in the same direction. And that's basically why it's starting to get in the way that it is.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know, man. I think this may be our personal last shot to shake it off, bro. I know that people have heard that so many times, but if you don't see that this time it's the precipice with everything happening, dude, as far as WW economics, them cracking down on everything from light bulbs to hot water tanks, and yes, they're coming for your fucking stoves. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the list just keeps going, and the digital currency. I mean, it's just about the Venn diagram, bro. It's 1984, a Brave New World, and Fahrenheit, man. It really is, dude. But instead of book burning and shit, though, it's crashing your fucking page on the old Twitter zones, and you're about to see that coming in as well, right? Election cycle. Apparently, Elon's not who you think he is or who others think he is. I mean, you see, he's literally got a hiring ad out for a dis and misinformations board, dude. And you know what I mean? And we know he brought in old Yacarino, from the WEF. And that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about Vivek earlier. He was cool with the WEF, but now he's not because he's running for president.
Right.
Just like this chick was cool with him, but now she's not because she's running Twitters. But she wants you to know that she is in the process of setting up a situation to censor the fuck out of you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, lawful, but awful, right? And and that's all part of that flock that you just spoke on, because for months now we've been covering the WEF and the UN and yada coming out saying, there's going to be hate speech laws, there's going to be, censorship across the inner zones, and regardless if you think we represent you, we're doing it for your own goods.
Right.
And it's not happening, but if it were, it's good things.
And then just like the whole back with the whole fucking oh, we used to be cool with the WEF, but now I'm running for president, so I'm not. Like, oh, we used to be cool with fucking WEF, but now I'm running Twitter, and so now I'm not. Right. It's that same concept of once a CIA fucking agent, always a CIA agent. They're never.
Didn't he make his money? Didn't he make his money off pharmaceuticals as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. See, I mean, obviously he's going to be tied in with some of them cats too, man.
Right. And at the same time, he's a really fucking smart dude, almost scary smart, almost to the point where he's, maybe he's aware that there's a really, really unique moment in the political sphere here in America right now. And basically, if you just talk the right thing, if you just say the right thing, you could get in there. And then once you get in there, you could fucking do a completely other fucking thing, But as long as you hop on this fucking wave of basically, American nationalism, I guess, you can fucking, you have a good footing in there, and there's, you can never actually tell with anybody, you can never actually fucking know what anybody's actually thinking. And that's the scary thing about it,
And the way he speaks on Trump, though, he would even accept a VP, man.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking obvious. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even just tonight I was hearing him like, first thing, I'm pardoning Trump sickles. You know what I mean?
Right. But at the same time, it really is kind of I don't know, I guess maybe it's not that hard to speak, truth, from the heart and shit in the way that Vivek does and not actually mean it. You know what I mean? But then again, he could just be, repeating the same fucking talkie points that he's just hearing, much in the same way that I could just, right here and just like, you know what, we need social fucking justice here in America. For too long, the black people have been held down, they, no, I'm serious. I'm not even joking right now, for too long, they've been held down, and it's, even if it's not, a physical, oh, there's actual systemic racism and shit, they've been through a lot. And that type of psychological damage and shit could really, really fuck with people. And as it continues to trickle down and as it's exacerbated over time, I could pull the same fucking dumb shit too,
Right. Right.
It's know your enemy type thing. It's not that hard,
Yeah, it's reading the room, man.
Right.
And he does it well. Like you said, he's smart and lightning fast. Like, I mean, someone will ask him a question and he'll have an elaborate answer immediately. Zero hesitation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I have no doubt that he could play it off any way he wanted to, using that intellect and make you think that what he's saying is real deals. And, I mean, obviously he's not the only one, but at the same time, it could be genuine. I mean, he could love the country. He was born here, Yeah. I mean, it could I could be wrong, but like you said, it's, once CIA, always CIA. And it's hard to think that you're going to be wrapped up with the pharmaceuticals and the WEF. And then all of a sudden you're not, because you're running for president.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he had a change of heart during this whole fucking COVID pandemic. Maybe he's like, oh, wait, I'm part of an evil company. I'm part of an evil industry.
A new dawn.
What have I been doing all along? Right. But, all right, let's go ahead and get on to the old immigration fucking crisis. It's an emergency, national emergency. Everybody fucking give us your money. All right, so Democrats are clinging to sanctuary policies despite emergency immigration declarations. Democratic politicians are not rolling back the welcome mat to immigrants despite the toll the surge of border crossers has taken on cities and states. More than 2 million immigrants have been released into the United States from the southern border since 2021, and many have chosen to move to immigrant-friendly cities up north. The influx of arrivals to cities including New York City, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. has led the blue cities to call in and even demand federal assistance, but their open arm welcome has not quite diminished despite the hardships. In aid to New York City Mayor Eric Adams said the 5 boroughs have received requests for shelter from just shy of 100,000 immigrants over the past year. We are providing them with services while Governor Abbott cruelly ordered children pushed into the Rio Grande. There is no comparison, the Adams administration aide wrote in an email. Greg Abbott, the 3-term GOP governor from Texas, began providing free bus rides to Chicago, New York City, and Washington in early 2022. The move was twofold: to alleviate pressure on Texas border communities facing several thousand new people on its streets daily, and a political stunt that he said targeted sanctuary cities. Hundreds of localities have adopted sanctuary policies over the past decade. The term generally refers to a local jurisdiction that will not work with federal immigration officers. For example, the New York Police Department will not detain an illegal immigrant arrested and jailed in New York City to transfer to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Someone released from the border with documents allowing them to remain in the country through their court proceedings for illegal entry is already protected from deportation. These are 2 completely different things, said Teresa Cardinal Brown, senior advisor for immigration and border policy at the nonpartisan bipartisan policy center think tank. Sanctuary policy is different from an attitude of welcome. Adams' office said immigrants released into the U.S. have documents and thus would not need to seek out a sanctuary city, despite Abbott's claim. This has nothing to do with sanctuary cities, despite how many lies Governor Abbott tells, the Adams aide said. These individuals have been paroled into the United States by Customs and Border Protection, so they are not undocumented immigrants. They literally have documents. That's how many have arrived. Oh, God damn it. Fucking ads, they keep jumping me around. Oh, I don't know where the fuck I was at. But anyway, fucking not rolling back any of the old welcome wagons. And as we see here in Arizona, Katie Hobbs herself is rolled out the welcome mat. I did a video a few months back about at the ending of Title 42 and her plan to basically take care of, more or less just roll out the welcome mat to all these immigrants here in Arizona and basically bus them anywhere they want within the state. She took the same actual legislation that fucking Doug Ducey was using to bus migrants to Washington, D.C. and New York, and now she's using the same funds that were set aside for that to basically bus them anywhere they want within the state of Arizona. When will they ever learn?
You're right. It's padding those numbers, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the Democrat modus operandi is do some, little act right there that's actually going to destroy their state or, be an overall detriment to the country. And then that way, those people support their party. You know what I mean? And so they think, but statistically, the people, coming in from Mexico and, South America are tending to be more conservative, which is pretty crazy to think. But if it's hilarious, right? The sanctuary city shit. You got some of America's largest, richest cities claiming to be sanctuary cities, but then they get a little taste of it, and it's, oh my God, like you just said. And those stats you read, it was like 100 racks got sent right over the past year. But since Biden's took office, just about 3 million that we know of have been processed through. And I'm saying that they're not undocumented because they came here illegally and then falsely claimed asylum fucking doesn't change the fact that they're illegal immigrants, man. Right. You know what I'm saying?
They're not undocumented. They have a court date in about 10 years.
Yeah. But, when you got people like, like Pelosi, like Feinstein, these people that have held on to power for 30, 40 years, and all they've done is absolutely destroy their areas. And like right now, like you just said, they're ordering people to work from home for their safety as they're stepping over feces to get there. And people just keep fucking voting for him, man.
Yep.
And it's I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yep. On the bright side though, this is slightly, just ever so slightly changing the voter sentiment in these so-called sanctuary cities, as they're starting to, as we're seeing, hundreds of thousands of these migrants are basically been let onto their streets the same way that they've been doing to Arizona, Texas, basically all these southern border states for years, and especially more so during this whole Biden administration. But so they're finally getting a taste of what it's like down here, and basically we're sending all these Mexican immigrants up there, and basically they're just doing what they do, annoying people. Like not even just to like be a dick about it and like any sort of like racial anything, like it's just I don't know why, just they completely change up the culture. They completely change up everything. Next thing you know, they're gonna be sitting outside on fucking the streets of Chicago with fucking dum 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 dum, and it's changing the sentiment toward their leadership in these sanctuary cities. As we're seeing in Chicago, they've had enough of these fucking immigrants. They're basically they're out there protesting and shit. Because they're taking care of these immigrants. Meanwhile, the fucking actual people that live there are out on the streets. They're getting rid of fucking housing and shit for them, and basically housing these immigrants. And they're, as this article shows, they're still going full steam ahead with it. And so, hopefully, that may sway the, like I said, the sentiment toward the Democrat Party, in these, coming years. Not to mention just the whole. Like I say, we're at the precipice of a new era right now, and it seems like a lot of the previous fucking demographics that could have been relied, the ones that were basically reliable, the black vote is moving away from the Democrat Party massively right now. Did you see that video of Larry Elder basically talking to Charlemagne?
Yeah, I saw that, and he was like lighting him up, man.
Right,
and stuttering over himself and whatnot. But I want to throw some stuff in there. It's like the crowd that's changing their mind. Their idea of changing their mind is like they voted out Lori Lightfoot, right, in Chicago, but then they put in some other fucking mindless Marxist douchebag, dude. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing in New York. This Eric Adams guy. He's saying Biden has to declare an emergency because of immigration, but yet he's still, we're a sanctuary cities. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's their idea of changing shit up. And then also the people that you see like are protesting against it and whatnot in these areas, those are almost, a discountable. I don't want to do the whole Hillary deplorable thing, but it's when you hear their complaints, it's because like, well, they're getting free shit. How come I'm not? Mm-hmm. Or you're giving them free shit. How come we should be getting free shit first?
Right.
Like that's their arguments. You know what I mean? So it's not like these people are going to switch their vote up and vote conservative all of a sudden. If you're not promising them social safety nets and free shit, they're not going to vote for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of immigration. And then on that tip, I recently did, several episodes where I showed statistics. I could send them to you for the supercuts here, but where it's a detriment to every single state. It's a net loss to every single state in the country, and the map breaks down what they bring in tax revenue, which is the leftist claim. They contribute, they help the local economies, and then the map that's attached to it shows how much it actually costs each state, and it's always a net loss, right? And it actually skyrockets crime statistics. And it's not like a racial thing. It's not like it's Mexicans or something, because the same thing has happened in Europe with Middle Easterners and stuff like that, right? But it definitely brings up the crime rate massively. So, I mean, it's more than just, annoyance at that point. You know what I mean? It's economic woes and it's crime. You know what I mean? And these people, regardless of them bitching about it, they will vote Democrat, bro. I guarantee it. You
Yeah.
might get a few that, you're going to get some that shift over to vote for Trump, but on local elections, they're going to vote with color. You know what I mean? And what kind of Marxist, retardation they can spew.
Right. Just like with the was it YG talking about the dude that wrote the fuck Donald Trump song, basically now kind of doubling back and maybe Trump wasn't that bad, fucking Biden's way
Yeah,
worse right now. And
yeah.
his whole reasoning for it is it's basically what you would expect, like, man, I remember fucking when Donald Trump was he was out there handing out checks and shit like that. Like, man, Joe Biden hasn't given us no checks. Like, I want the guy that was handing out checks back. Like basically some
Yeah.
complete fucking ignorant fucking stupid reasoning, but still, yeah, probably the biggest thing that most of us have flack against Trump for was those fucking checks. And so yeah, basically that's their whole reasoning for liking him and shit again. But at the same time, again, even if this brings their sentiment more towards Trump, that's something. Like I say, it's not like they're gonna vote Republican, but if hopefully if things go right, Republican is gonna be a fucking one of those parties that used to exist here in America back in the day. Hopefully that's the fucking goal. Because basically, the Republican Party of the past is done. Like, and
Yeah, there's
it's basically they're over with. It's either the MAGA party or whatever the fuck it's going to be moving forward now. But yeah, the
yeah,
old
it's,
Republican Party's done.
there's a big shift. Like the quote unquote establishment Republican now only makes up about 20% of the party, and they've kind of been shunned by the rest of the party, which is made up of evangelicals and like you said, MAGA, man.
Yep. But
I mean, there's a couple little sub shoots there, but that's the majority.
yeah, and really the idea of MAGA, despite how demonized fucking Trump has been in the media, and when you really actually talk to a lot of these fucking liberals and shit, and you ask them, well, what do you have against Trump? Like, well, he's just he's a mean guy, fucking he's the racisms, fucking he said fucking that when you're rich you could grab women by the pussy and shit like that, which by the way is true, and at the same
Right.
time, it's not like it's not like women don't necessarily like that. There's a good fucking huge chunk of women out there that actually do like to just fucking have a guy just come up and take charge and shit. But either way, that's besides the point. Fucking but shit, I forgot what I was going for. Oh, the MAGA party, really could kind of appeal to a lot of these other people that really aren't necessarily more or less traditional Republican voters, like the black fucking vote and shit like that. As Larry Elder pointed out, like, you guys ever get tired of being patronized? You guys ever get tired of being a demographic? You guys ever get tired of just being the black vote? And if you don't vote for me, you ain't black type shit. So I mean, it could appeal to that. With basically, we don't see you as blacks. We don't give a shit about you. You're an individual. You're not a fucking demographic, and we don't give a shit about you. Basically, we don't give a shit about fucking anybody as a demographic. It's the idea of individualism and shit like that that could really kind of I guess maybe appeal to some people that some of the more intellectual people within the black community and stuff. It could appeal to them a lot more. And then in the Hispanic community and shit like that, like just the idea of family and fucking working hard and shit like that. That's really kind of a lot of what the Hispanic community, at least the well-to-do, Hispanic community, the ones that aren't fucking running fentanyl and shit like that. That's really what their, main kind of drive is. It's like family and fucking work. I mean, of course, in which case the idea of fucking MAGA could appeal to them as well. And so that's why I say we're on the precipice of an entirely new political landscape. Hopefully, again. There's still the very real possibility that we could just revert back to what it was pre-Trump, that we could just go back to the old ways of the establishment and just, we're going back to the way that we were, like, I personally don't think that, but then again, I could be wrong, like you like to point out all the time, during the whole Tea Party movement and shit like that, you you thought this was the Great Awakening. You thought America was finally pulling their head out of their ass. Turns out you were wrong. That could be
Yeah.
here again too. And like I say, if that's the case, we're just gonna pretty much go back to the politics of pre-Trump. Which is terrible.
That's the way it was. Like you said earlier, Trump was a pause, man. Trump was an anomaly. Like we went back. Biden is it is the politics of the 80s and the 90s, man. You know what I mean? He was VP senator for how many decades, and you know what I mean? Ran for president several times, pulling out, of course, for being a lying, plagiarizing shitbag. But we did go back. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that's changed is the fact that they're in your face with the zero decorum and communist tactics, like let's go prosecute our political opponent. That's the only thing that really hasn't reverted, as far as I'm concerned. And then because like MAGA itself, as far as our legislature goes, they're only about 12%. So why they can hold up some votes and shit because of the slim margin, like reality, they're almost powerless, man.
Right. And then at the same time too, like they could hold up votes and shit like that, or they could get these slight changes and shit like that done, or they could get some different stipulations in, like they did with voting in McCarthy for speaker. But yeah, that's great and all.
Fucking jellyfish,
right? But I mean, it's great and all. They're able to fucking at least wield a little bit of weight, but I think to the American people that like to see results and like to see shit happen right now and fucking, all that type of bullshit, I think it could become an annoyance to them over time,
Yeah. Yeah, like you just recently saw, what is it, Bill Kristol come out and say that the grassroots donor and voter are the thorn in the side of Americans' democracies at this point. And this guy's supposed to be a Republican. He's a never Trumper Republican.
Yeah.
But the dude literally said this shit. You know what I mean? They're already thinking the fact that you don't want the establishment, that you are the problem.
Right.
So it's an ever devolving. I don't even want to say evolving. It's an ever devolving situation in the narcissism, dude.
Yeah. You ever think fucking like if we were to get in and fucking destroy the establishment and shit, that fucking the establishment was maybe I don't know fucking, I don't even want to think it, but maybe the establishment was kind of what kept us again in all this fucking affluence and shit like that. They, like
right.
the fucking the swamp and shit like that, the fucking bureaucracy, those motherfuckers could go. Those people are literally fucking paper pushers, fucking, that could be replaced with a computer. But as per like a lot of the fucking the deep state, the FBI's, the fucking CIA's and all that type of shit. Yes, they've been weaponized and all that shit, but they have fucking kept us safe in the past. They have fucking thwarted, fucking. I don't know. Because it's not like they're ever gonna tell you. It's not
right.
Like, and it's not like they're ever gonna fucking like, oh yeah, we definitely fucking went and stopped a fucking world threat. Like, you guys are never gonna believe this, man. We were like fucking 5 minutes away from being blown up. Like, dude, it was close, man. Like, they're not gonna come out and do that, So it does kind of make you wonder, like, if these types of institutions and shit do get removed and shit, are we gonna be vulnerable, or like, what could come of it? I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing I think about every now and then too.
For me, I mean, I hope that you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to think that we could definitely deal without those entities. I mean, the vast majority of the time, anything crazy happens, 9/11, the Philadelphia marathon bombing, yada yada. It's always the FBI knew about it, but then
right.
Well, where the fuck were they? They didn't stop it from happening. It's always after the fact. They were honest tales. You know what I mean? And it's they're laughable, right? I think obviously you got to have some type of intelligence. I don't think you can just do away with all of it. This, like, you could shatter the FBI, keep the CIA, trim it, keep it more in line, put some more checks and balances in place. They got to have secrecy to an extent. But I'd like to think that it was our business acumen, our ability to back our allies at the time, and sound money that put us where we were and kept us in opulence. And as we've destroyed our credit, our credibility, and the fact that we've become leeches to where, like Ukraine, right? Something like that, like the Middle East, we come in like, we'll help you, we'll send you weapons, and then we're like, then we'll loan you money to rebuild your shit. And we're like, oh, now we own your resources for the next 2 decades. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like that's what's kind of put us in disfavor. And and then obviously we have a severe spending issue, and that's what's destroyed the currency. So that's what's kind of removing us from that global hegemon there. In my view.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking. I don't know, did you see that Tim Pool episode that he put out earlier when the Canadian person was like, "Oh, I don't know how to survive," like fucking all that type of shit. And he's basically talking about, he goes on to talk about, like hard times, and about how hard times are coming and shit, and how a lot of these people that have just spent their entire lives in affluence, these people that have never had to struggle on the streets before, these people that have never had to struggle, period. Those people are fucked. Like,
Yeah.
those people are seriously fucked, like in a bad way, And it's, I don't know. I almost, yeah. I mean, obviously, I feel bad for them. Liberals or not, they're still our fellow countrymen. But really, it's almost kind of depressing to think. Like, maybe the reason that these people are so fucking hateful toward the idea of Trump, the idea of basically the idea of anti-establishment in general, is because, again, they've been coddled so long. They've been cradled to grave, either government or basically, cradle to grave, my dad's a fucking lawyer type people and shit, And so essentially, these type of people are essentially, their hatred comes from fear, essentially, they know that fucking they can't make it in a world without fucking money's manipulations and fucking the fucking military industrial complex. Or they can't, they know that their families would collapse without these fucking institutions and these fucking corrupt fucking entities and shit, And so maybe I think possibly a lot of their hatred comes from a place of fear, because they know that Trump means the ends of their ways of life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Trump definitely means that for sure. I think, he's not necessarily he's anti, like, deep state establishment, right? But not anti-establishment, because he hired a shit ton of them.
Right. But you also got to think that, a lot of these people are fucking brainwashed through propaganda,
Right. And yeah, that's what I was going to go as far as that's concerned. They think that you not being able to, indoctrinate children with fucking sexual deviance is fascism.
Right.
So you know what I mean? That and then they also, but I mean, like, the affluent, I totally see what you're saying. I agree. Right. But then the other side of that, like your normal leftist, your normie or what have you, it's more about that, I think. And the everything that Trump will want to do, even if it was freedom or deregulation or what have you, he's destroying the government. It's fascism. He's, you know what I mean? Not destroying it as in like he's destroying it, taking it away. He's destroying it as in he's basing it off of fucking like dictatorship,
Right.
And really.
Oh, and then you also got to think, a lot of these people that are, in basically being threatened right now, their power is being threatened. They're the people that also run the media, the establishment, the fucking record companies, the fucking the movie makers, all these people. So of course, they're gonna be able to easily propagandize the more smooth brained fucking youth of today, And essentially, they just use them as their own little blue haired retard army. Get them out into the streets. We'll drop off pallets of bricks for you. Don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah. And then we'll blame it on fucking white extremisms, dude.
Right.
It's the Supremesies is the threat. The motherfuckers are burning down cities and shit. And, you know what I'm saying? Destroying billions of dollars of shit. And I don't see a lot on film of that happening in any other neighborhoods except for certain ones, man.
All right. Fucking how many steps ahead do you think Trump actually is? Like, do you think he's playing catch up, or do you think he has a plan? You think he's sticking to the plan?
I definitely don't think it's like a like an ulterior like a ultimate plan like the Q shit. I'm sure he's got a legal route that he's got fucking mapped out between him and his attorneys and whatnot. But I don't know. I don't even know if he's any steps ahead at this point, man, because they just keep fucking laying it on him, dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's already spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and now fuck, dude. I don't I don't even know at this point, man.
That's why I say it almost seems like he's fucking back against the ropes right now. Or he's fucking almost seems like he's ducking and covering. While the fucking the shots come in.
Yeah, but the one thing that sucks is I hear that he's diverted like the vast majority of his campaign funds to legal representation.
Yep.
So I mean, that's another thing, depleting the war chest. I mean, just like I think it was Ben letting off some statistics saying that only not like 9% of campaign funds have actually been spent against Biden's,
Right.
and not just Trump, like across the Republican board.
Yeah.
Only like 9%.
But at the same time, too, as we mentioned before, shit, I don't think a single one of fucking Trump's donors give a shit that all of their fucking donations money is going toward his legal fees as opposed to campaigning against fucking shit for brains fucking Joe Biden.
Yeah, me either. But I'm saying it's depleting the chest,
Right.
depleting the war chest, man.
Right.
I mean, they're just drained. It's being drained at every end. I mean, I'm sure mentally, physically, emotionally, fucking financially.
And I'm sure Trump doesn't want the optics. That's the whole reason why I'm sure he's not coming out there and fucking the deep state is attacking me. We have mounting legal fees. So that's why I'm coming out and asking for this donation for I'm sure that's the whole reason he's not doing it. Is he doesn't want the optics of going out and asking for donations for his legal fees. But at the same time, I guarantee you, if he were to, he would get fucking several $1 million within a couple hours.
Yeah, yeah. But he's all he's got to do right now is go the old mugshot fucking route, man.
Right.
And he'll make millions overnight in hours. You remember the NFTs? This will blow that out of the water. I know for sure. I'll get one. The NFTs were a fucking joke to me. I will have a mugshot T-shirt, bro.
I will have a mugshot mug, and it will be on the show. Yeah, that's couldn't be fucking better for Trump. Dude, what do you think of the people out there that actually are like the Ben Shapiro type, and they're like oh, he's going to jail, nope, he's been indicted, that means he's bad news, he must be bad. Juries wouldn't indict people unless they actually did it. Like there's still, I'm sure there's still plenty of those people out there that haven't quite woken up and smelled the fucking third world fucking banana republic dictatorship.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, especially if they're listening to Ben every day. You know what I mean? And like he'll point out it's a banana republic, but we gotta like vote for like the bananas,
right?
You know what I mean?
That's why I can't fucking stand that dude right now, dude. Like he's that kid that he's watching another. He's that kid on the schoolyard that's watching another fucking Poindexter little kid get his fucking lunch money taken and get his glasses broken, and Ben Shapiro is that kid that's like, well, at least it's not me. Like, let's just keep our head down and hopefully they won't mess with us. That's Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Like that's Ben Shapiro all day. It's almost kind of like. I don't know. When you think of the American fucking, the overall American populist spirit and shit, it's almost kind of like if you were home at your home and shit, and fucking the police just walked into your house and just went up to your dad and just started fucking beating him with fucking sticks. You have a fucking gun in your hand. Would you be able to fucking shoot those fucking police officers that are fucking unjustly just no reason, no warrant, no knock, nothing. They just open your door and just start, fucking brown shirt type shit, fucking, would you have it in you to actually shoot that fucking government official that is clearly in the wrong, that is fucking completely fucking abusing any, power that they have and shit? Would you have it in you to actually stand up against that person, just because of the fact that that even though you're doing what is right, you're standing up against tyranny, that tyranny is still going to kill you for standing up against it.
Right.
There is no surviving this, you know. Yes, you may have, you know, stopped the threat right now, but they're still gonna fucking kill you. Like you're either gonna fucking you're gonna be fucking hanged or tortured or whatever, you know, to fucking and that's almost essentially kind of what the scenario that we're at right now, basically, you know, fucking the fucking police have basically just started fucking walking in and just beating the shit out of fucking Trump, and basically there's the people that are like, you know, no, fuck that, we're gonna go fuck those, you know, police up, you know, and then there's the other fucking Ben Shapiro's that like, oh man, oh no, better go hide, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's I don't know, you know, little analogy as to what's going on in the political sphere here in America right now. And it's basically just, you know, would you stand up against fucking government tyranny if you know damn well in your fucking heart that it's wrong, you know, there's it's unequivocally wrong. There's no fucking trying to gray area it. It's wrong, you know? Would you stand up against that knowing full well that they're going to destroy you for doing so? You know, and that's kind of where we're at here. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is, man. And it's a hard question to answer because you really don't know until you're put in that position. You know what I mean? And you know, you do know it's definitely death. There's no fucking coming out of it.
No.
So your mind frame at that moment would play a huge factor in the decision, I'm sure. Man, and as far as somebody else, I mean, like then if it's a threat with your people, of course, that really dictates on, you know, how you would make the decision as well. But with it's like someone else, dude, that would make that choice even harder.
All right.
Like, you know, you're watching it happen to the neighbor, or, you know, Trumpsicles, man.
All right.
Are you going to go die for Trump? I mean, and it's not for Trump.
Yep.
It's for, you know, it's the principle, it's the meaning, it's the America first, and he's kind of the standard, you know what I mean? And you know,
That's why I say, man, fucking we're at that point right now. Fucking we're basically, you know, it's like we say, you know, it's not about fucking love for Trump. It's about love for America, and it's about principle, you know. And it's basically we're at that point right now, you know. And it's are we going to be principled? Are we going to fucking stand up for our freedom? Are we going to stand up for, you know, what America is and what America represents? Or are we just going to let it happen? You know, that's really,
sure.
you know, that's why they've been fucking trying to turn the frogs fucking gay, bro. They want us to be feminized so that way we're not going to actually stand up against the fucking tyranny.
Yeah.
But yeah,
exactly, man. An androgynous fucking population, bro.
Yep. That's why I say, you know, we have to fucking keep our men. That's why I'm gonna, you know, try and raise my boy to be as much of a man as I could get him to be. All right, man. Fucking, you got anything else you wanna throw on? We've been going about an hour 42.
Right. I'm good, man. Good show. Had a good time, dude. Hope everybody enjoyed. Stop by, dude. I'm gonna drop a new episode here shortly as well.
Yeah. If you guys are not already, make sure you guys subscribe to this guy's channel, fucking Liberty Swine. The link's definitely going to be down in the description below. Yeah, if you guys want to drop us any news articles, any links that you'd like to see us talk about, go ahead and hit us up on the old Twitter spheres, or the X sphere, the X zone, fucking the X boards, whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Right.
We'll work on it. Right. But all right. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and fuck off.
See you later.